What's going on, everybody? Don Martino here from Extract Media. Today we're talking about Andor episode 11, directed by Benjamin Caron. And I think Benjamin Caron really added a lot of style to the series. I'll get into why here in a second, but I want to address something. It seems to be a disconnect between Star Wars fans, or a lot of them anyway, and the show. There are definitely some that know it's the best Star Wars out there or think that, and everything is subjective, so I'm not trying to get on anybody for their opinion. But I've heard a lot of that this show is boring or stuff along those lines.
Boring! It's so boring. This show is so boring. I can't get over how boring this show is. Holy crap, dude. What a snooze fest. 30 seconds of excitement of a space battle, but my god, it's like eating dry toast after being in the desert.
And by the way, I love Star Wars Theories content, so don't at me. I really think he's great. I just happen to disagree with him on this in particular thing. And that's perfectly okay, right? I mean, honestly, I think it's important amongst fandom to have civil discussions about disagreements. But I can't help but to wonder what Star Wars fans, or the ones that don't like this show, are kind of watching and consuming outside of Andor or Star Wars, honestly, because this tends to line up with a lot of the stuff I like to consume outside of Star Wars, which, by the way, I mostly only consume Star Wars content. I do watch things outside, but if you're one of those that only consume Star Wars content, no shame in that. I wish I only did consume Star Wars content. I'd probably be a happier person. But this show is just different, honestly. It's more of a Star Wars drama than a Star Wars action series, and that's kind of what I find refreshing about it. For those of you who don't like it, I know it's going to be different from person to person, so I'm not trying to box anybody in, but I would really like to know what you don't like about it specifically, and what kind of content you typically consume outside of Star Wars, just because I'm curious to see if that has anything to do with it. I don't know. If you don't like the show, drop it in the comment section below. Tell me why. Let's have a discussion about it. I'm just curious. All right, so back into the episode. Marva is dead right from the very beginning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Cassian has no idea. That's kind of lingering on my mind the whole time, is the fact that he's out there doing his own thing. He has no idea. Bix just looks beat to shit. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like she hasn't had sleep in ages, and I was blown away by it. I just want this poor girl to get away. Syril is still continuing his obsession with Andor, right? And then Tweedledum calls him, and they do a little video Skype call, which I actually found to be humorous in kind of a dark way. Like, the way he was shooing off his mother was just so funny to me. It was such an asshole and unnecessary move for him to do. But you understand where he's coming from, right? But the big speculation, right, is that Cassian is going to show up at this funeral, in which case Cyril's going to try to catch him there, probably turn him into Dedra. I like the scene with the aliens, by the way. I thought it was really visually stunning, very good to look at. What I didn't necessarily understand is why they let them go so fast, Cassian and Melfi. They get caught up in like these spider webs. I actually thought there was going to be a big ass spider or something. It scared the shit out of me. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. Luckily, it was just the aliens. But they take off in a quad jumper. I do like that connection in Star Wars lore. We've heard about quad jumpers through Star Wars a lot, and I like that it was included here. In fact, Finn and Rey were going to steal a quad jumper. Remember that?
We cannot run them! We might! In that quad jumper!
I like the attention to detail with Cassian going back to his hotel room, right, to find his suitcase again. I like that they brought that back around, and they actually made the scene tension-filled because somebody was staying in the hotel room and he had to sneak around them. Mon Mothma talking to Vel, that stuff really played for me. I love Genevieve O'Reilly's performance every time we see her. She is great and fantastic, and it looks like Mon Mothma is going to go through with Delvos's offer. She really doesn't have much of a choice right now. What happened to the credits that Vel stole from Aldhani? Doesn't she still have those? Can she offer those to Mon Mothma, or did it all go to Luthen? I just don't remember how big her cut was, if it was mentioned. But everything happening with Luthen in this episode, I think, is the best stuff in the entire episode. Honestly, him going to Saw Gerrera to warn him about Krieger, giving Saw Gerrera the choice whether or not to go through with this plan, especially when there's 30 men that are going to be showing up. We really get to see Saw Gerrera unhinged. I love Forrest Whitaker in the role. We're getting a lot more of him here than we did in Rogue One, and we're seeing a lot more of that crazy. Then Luthen gets back on his ship, and he's paging Kleya, telling her everything that went down in code. I love the way that they talk in the show. It's like they're saying things without actually saying them directly, but you could figure it out as the audience member. I love that Tony Gilroy trusts his audience enough to know that we're going to figure out what's actually being said. It's very smart writing in the show. It's another thing I really love about it. Then we get another action scene in this episode. It's a space battle with Luthen. It's wonderful. They catch him in the tractor beam, which I loved. I loved this Star Destroyer. It looked like an actual Imperial Star Destroyer. They did a great job with that, honestly. The detail of this thing is amazing. The cinematography of this action scene is incredible. It's all stuff we haven't seen before, too. They got Luther in this tractor beam, and he throws out these things that, like, bust this satellite. I was like, holy shit. That's another thing about the show. It's all stuff we haven't seen before, right? With the action, it's a space battle, but there are weapons we haven't seen before. He does this, like, little spinny move. It must be powered by kyber crystals when these lasers come out of both sides and take out these TIE fighters. I'm blown away by this show, right? It's amazing, this stuff. And then, of course, it ends with Cassian trying to get through to Marva, or at least Ferrix, to give Marva a message, and it doesn't work because Marva has passed, and he finds this out right at the end of the episode. So the episode really does end on this very somber note, but Cassian and Melfi decide that they're going to split up. Cannot wait to see where this finale takes us. Wow, this was an amazing episode. I loved it. I think the show really does get better and better each week. That's one of the things I could say about this show that I can't say about the others. Over the moon about it. I love it so much, guys. That's been the episode breakdown, but thank you guys for joining. I've been Don Martino. Please, before I go, hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit that bell for notifications. I appreciate you checking out the content, and I will talk to you guys later.